Hi, I'm Armando, and coming back to you today with the tools that I promised to teach that are going to support the book that we released several weeks back called Raptor Sharp, that we released in Kindle format on Amazon to help you cut down on reaction time. Yes, we're talking about getting faster. So these are the two details that we need to pay attention to that make the biggest difference in taking steps to cutting down not only in reaction time but also improving your awareness, increasing your speed, and becoming generally much more motion sensitive. And these are things that carry over into many disciplines, whether it be martial art, self-defense, even hunting, breaking camouflage, this sort of thing. And we'll talk about those applications at a later date. But what we're going to talk about today is going to be foveal focus versus non-foveal focus. That's going to be hard looking, hard seeing, hard focusing versus seeing things with soft eyes or with what we'll call peripheral visual awareness. Okay? So to start off with, foveal focus has to do with that part of our vision that is identifying, naming, labeling, saying, hey, that's this color and this is so and so, I know them. It also has to do with putting things into our memory that we can recognize later. So it's also a process of higher thinking versus motion, sensitivity, and perception necessarily. I'm not saying it's not there, but what it is one that's really slow and it's not meant for perceiving motion. Many times, whenever we are told to keep our eye on the ball, this sort of thing that actually indicates to us the linguistics of it to not only look hard but pay attention, really try to put effort into focusing on that ball. Well, that's really nice, but the thing is, if you do that, it's also the part that doesn't respond to motion, so you'll probably be catching the ball either right here real close, if you don't catch it with your face, this sort of thing. And yes, I say that to be funny, to drive the point home. But whenever you're looking at things from the motion perception aspect, then you're looking outside of this little tunnel vision thing we talk about called foveal focus, hard focus, then chances are you'll see the ball thrown as it's being thrown and you'll be in interception mode before it even gets close to halfway to you. So non-foveal focus has to do with peripheral awareness. It has to do with seeing all the way out to our corners where I can look forward with soft eyes, relaxed eyes, zoning out, as some people like to call it, not necessarily being in the zone, that's different, but zoning out to wherever you're not looking at any one thing in particular, but we're seeing all things at once. It's almost like being in panoramic view, and you do have control of this. We can close and open those little apertures that we call pupils to let in more light, or actually to cut down on how much light is coming in. But the one that we use for seeing out here has to do with perceiving motion. Many times whenever we see things moving at us, one little technique that you can use that makes a huge difference is not to look right in the area where it's coming directly down the center of your pipe, but just slightly avert your vision. I've seen this in many medical journals where they call it averting vision, and that actually just limits the way they look at it. Oh, that's all you're doing. Well, no, there's a whole lot else going on besides merely averting your vision. What you're trying not to do is engage your central foveal focus, because then you will respond really slow to something that requires maybe a really fast, quick response, or even a dodge, or let's let the ball go by, this sort of thing. So when we're looking at peripheral visual out here, trying to do higher thinking while you're doing that, it's probably what you don't need to do if you're doing sport. It's probably something you already practiced a lot, so you don't really have to think about how to do it. Your body already knows. We just kind of remember it. And this is what we're going to go with, kind of feeling what it's like whenever we're out here versus feeling what it's like when we're in here visually. One of the little key terms I like to use is going wide. Whenever I'm teaching this to my children, I usually say using your lizard brain, which is more fun, a little more colorful, right? But it makes it stick a little better. But still, we go wide, and pretty soon we don't have to do this to test and see if we're perceiving that. Pretty soon, you're going wide and you're comfortable. And not only that, there are other little things that have to do with our motion when we're in peripheral vision, where we tend to move a little more quickly, but as a whole, as a unit. We're no longer nearly as segmented as whenever we're using hard focusing. Hard focusing tends to make it a little more difficult to coordinate the core whenever we're moving, especially if we're moving suddenly. So those are the two differences in foveal and non-foveal focus. Really high clarity versus lower clarity, lower quality. One is going to be HD, if you will, the other one not quite so much. But if it's about getting out of the way, you don't have to label what's coming down and saying, oh, that's what it is, to have to respond to it. You just have to know where it is. So the where is it part of our vision is out here. The what is it is right here. And these are the two differentiations we're looking at right now. And I'll be coming back to you a little later with some other videos on not only attention, but also the myth of acuity and accuracy. And we'll talk more about that. That's actually really interesting. And I hope you come back and see that. That's something that will actually have a lot to do with not only things along the lines of archery, but throwing basketballs through a hoop more easily without necessarily having to look really hard to do it. So these are some fun things we'll play with here in a little bit. Good to see you. Glad you came to listen to this. On top of that, if you have any comments, leave them below. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions, send them to the Gmail account, tntower@spirithammer, and I'll do the best I can to answer those questions. We'll talk to you soon, and good luck in your training.